So Jesse Ventura, as you all know, is like the poster boy for the independent political movement in this country. He was elected governor as an independent, which, by the way, is a colossal political feat. I don't know if many people could really understand how amazing it is, right? Because this system, this country is so rigged and biased in favor of the two-party system that it's mission impossible to get elected either as an independent or as a third-party candidate. Anybody who does it at any level of government, they've really defied the odds massively. This guy was a governor as an independent, okay? So he really is just an icon of political independence in this country, and some people in the third-party movement like the Green Party, etc. So he went on CNN, and man, he absolutely laid the smack down here, no pun intended, because I know he's a professional wrestler. I know SmackDown is a wrestling show, no pun intended. But he went in on Republican lies about Tim Walz. This is a beautiful thing to see. Watch this.
Governor Ventura, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm really eager to hear your take on this because you are a former Navy SEAL. You served in Vietnam. And I have to ask you what you think of this attack from the Trump band's ticket on Governor Walz's military service.
Well, Laura, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's shameful. I think it's shameful that a veteran would attack another veteran. Governor Walz served honorably for 24 years in the National Guard. After 20 years, you are eligible to retire at any time you deem necessary. They talk about him missing his deployment. Well, maybe Mr. Vance should ask the real question. What is the National Guard doing deploying to a foreign country in a foreign war? Well, let's go into history and figure out how that happened. That happened because George W. Bush and Dick Cheney went into the Iraq War based on lies, no weapons of mass destruction, no ties to Al-Qaeda, nothing with 9/11, and they ran out of bodies. They needed more bodies. They couldn't implement a draft. That would be political suicide. So what George Bush did was sign an executive order sending the National Guard into foreign deployment. The National Guard is not for foreign deployment. Their name says what they do. They guard our nation from within.
Oh my God. Every part of that was brutal, bro. Holy shit. I love this. This is when I covered that Republican attack on Tim Walz. This is effectively the exact same argument I was making. That why are we not talking about the bigger issue here? The bigger issue here is Tim Walz did not believe in the Iraq War. He knew it was wrong. He knew it was based on lies. And he knew it before most people in the country. So he lived his values and he said, I'm not going to partake in this absolute sham. This is absurd. Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11. Saddam Hussein had no connection whatsoever to Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction. I'm not going to partake in this farce. So the Republican position is, even if you know for sure the war is bullshit, and in 20 years, we're all going to look back on it like, oh my God, what the fuck were we thinking? That was horrific. You should still suck it up and go fight anyway. Why would you do that? By the way, you know who does rhetoric against the Iraq War? Donald Trump. You know who else does rhetoric against the Iraq War? J.D. Vance. So the nerve to say, hey, this guy was right and he was right faster than most people. How dare he? And by the way, he retired 2 months before his unit was called up anyway. So the idea of like, oh, he's chicken shit and he was running. No, he didn't believe in the war and he left before the unit was called up anyway. God, it's such bullshit. It's such bullshit. And Jesse Ventura laser focused on the actual issue at hand. Hey, hold on here. I thought we all knew now and we all agreed the Iraq war was bullshit. So are we really going to fault this guy for knowing that before most people? Is that what we're going to do? That's how low we're stooping now? I love it. By the way, Jesse Ventura in 2022 endorsed Tim Walz. He loves Tim Walz. One of the things I love about Jesse, by the way, is remember he did that TV show called Conspiracy Theory? I think it was on like True TV or something like that. One of those like second-rate channels. And he's one of those guys that just has that aura about him and that X factor about him that even though he endorses some really, really out there conspiracy theories, everybody's just like, Jesse, we love you. That it's very few people that you find that can fit in that category, where they can have an amalgamation of sort of out there conspiracy beliefs, but everybody's like, that's okay. He gets a pass on that one. I love it. All right. Anyway, now I got more for you. Watch what he says here. This one actually surprised me. The defending of Tim Walz did not surprise me. I know he likes Tim Walz. I know that he knows Tim Walz is the real deal in terms of getting policy passed for the people. I did not expect this next part. Watch this.
I'm going to be selfish. A few years ago, I got the opportunity to see the United States elect its first black president. I didn't think that could ever happen, and they even re-elected him. Well, now I'm going to be selfish again. I've only got a few elections to go. I'm 73 years old now, so the window's closing. I want to be alive to see the first woman president of the United States of America and the first woman commander-in-chief, and we've got her right now.
Governor, thank you so much for sharing your views on this issue. I think a lot of people have been very interested to hear what you have said. So you are officially endorsing the Harris-Walz ticket, excuse me.
Yes, I want to see a woman president. It's time for a woman president. We men have screwed it up enough.
I think the Tim Walz VP pick pushed Jesse Ventura over the edge. The other thing is, Jesse Ventura is legitimate and sincere in the sense that he knows the threat Trump poses. He knows the shit about, hey, we need to terminate the Constitution, terminate all rules and regulations, suspend the Constitution so I can get back in power. He sees those things, and he's not like other fake anti-establishment voices that memory hole that or pretend it didn't happen. He knows the genuine threat Trump poses, which I think is also why he's leaning in this direction. Between the Tim Walz pick and the genuine threat that Trump poses, he's like, fuck it, I'm going all in. He endorsed Kamala Harris. I got one more for you because this is just classic Jesse Ventura. Listen to what he says here. A lot of people don't know this backstory, so you know he was a professional wrestler. He's one of the biggest professional wrestlers in the country. He came up at the same time as Hulk Hogan. Listen to what he says here.
As far as Hogan goes, it doesn't surprise me because when I was in wrestling in the 80s, I tried to unionize wrestling, and it was Hulk Hogan who cut my legs out from under me. Hulk Hogan went to Vince McMahon, ratted me out, and subsequently later on cost me my job. So it doesn't surprise me to see Hogan with the Republicans because Hogan's as anti-union as you can get. There still is not a union in professional wrestling. The reason I tried to do it, I was in an elevator and ran into Gene Upshaw, the great tackle guard from the Oakland Raiders. Right. And Big Gene raised his finger up and looked at me and says, you boys need to form a union. I tried to do it, and it was Hulk Hogan who ratted me out to Vince McMahon, and subsequently I was fired and lost my job.
So as you all know, Hulk Hogan spoke at the RNC recently, and he did his whole, Hulk Hogan bit, and he endorsed Trump. He loves Trump. And here's Jesse Ventura putting that into context and into perspective. The reason why Hulk Hogan endorsed Trump is because he is a standard conservative Republican with conservative Republican beliefs. He's anti-union. He's anti-worker. And I know because he tried to undermine the union I was trying to create. By the way, the lives of professional wrestlers would be so much better if they had a union. They absolutely need a union. And Hulk Hogan blocked it as Jesse Ventura was trying to create it. That says a lot. So you know where his politics are, and you know where Hulk Hogan's politics are. But man, having Jesse on the warpath, defending Tim Walz, that is extremely my shit. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.